What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with the Cave. Season 1, I'm calling the Season 1. The last iteration, you know what? I'm going to forget about that. We're revamping the Cave. This is Season 1, Episode 1, and I'm very excited to kick off this version of the show for the off season. It's going to premiere every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. No more too late at night, no more inconsistent times. I'm going to try and keep it at the same time for the duration of the off season that I'm going to be running the Cave. And I'm very excited to be kicking this off because I went through and I kind of revamped a bunch of the segments, revamped the quiz game, and I'm very excited to give it a trial run here in the first episode and really see how it works out. And there's no better way to do that than to have, my brother, Justus General Radford, on to help me chop through this. This is going to be a great time, man. I appreciate you greatly for taking the time to hop on with me. And, if you guys don't know who this guy is, then either you've never watched me before or you live under a rock. You got to get well acquainted quick. Justus is, one of the biggest personalities in all of Bill's Mafia. He is relatively recently has become a part of the WUFO 96.5 sports show with Mookie Hawkins. He's a writer. He's on the radio station very often. And he's also the creative director for the team around BuffaloFAMbase's. Justus, thank you for taking the time, man. I'm excited to chop it up with you.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. I love your work, man. I got to be completely honest with you. Like, I love you. Like, you're my guy, but like, your work, like your content is super high quality, and like I ain't gonna lie, I don't sit here and watch a lot of Bill's people content, like but your stuff is really, really good, man. And I'm super blessed to be able to work with you. Super blessed to be in position, and I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here on the revamped Cave,
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. And I'm happy for anybody, if you're in the comment section, drop a comment, say hello. Kim, happy to see you down in the comments. Per usual, Kim is always showing support, Coach Boom. And let's get things rolling, man. So we have kind of a similar style. It's going to be segment by segment, right? There's no more recent events. I'm going to have headlines kind of thrown in there every so often between the different segments that I have. So with that being said, the first headline that I have, there's not much going on in the offseason, so we're not going to, try and beat a dead horse where there's not really a horse to be beat. And we're going to start with what I would consider a relatively big headline. We had the schedule release come out. We also had the number of primetime games released, right? And I had a couple personal opinions when it came to the primetime list. I understand a lot of different factors go into it from an NFL's perspective. How many viewers that an average franchise brings in on a regular basis and how much money they're worth, all of that fun stuff. But for, a fan's perspective, I was a little bit confused by this list. I dumbed down my thinking when it came to something like this and actually put my own list together, which we can indulge in a little bit later. But long story short, I didn't really agree with some of the some of the games, right? I mean, we have 6 games across the board for the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Cowboys. I don't know about you, but I personally think the Cowboys are in a state where, understandably, they make a lot of money. One of the probably the most wealthy franchise in American sports. I get that. But from a pure entertainment perspective, the Cowboys were a laughingstock at the end of the year, which in the wrong way is entertainment, but it's not good football. So I don't know about 6 games for them. The Patriots still getting 4 games after the joke they've been. I mean, just looking at this list, what sticks out to you primarily?
Yeah, I saw your video, so I had a feeling this might be coming. I agree. The Cowboys. I've always been annoyed at how much attention the Cowboys get. It's like, I don't know. To me, it feels like undeserved attention a lot of the times. They don't even have like a great team. They might have like a slightly above mediocre team, and they'll hit the hammer. Is this the Cowboy season? They sit at 6-4, second place in the NFC East. Like, bro, who cares, right? So, looking at it from that perspective, I was always annoyed with them. I also kind of feel like this goes back to the whole coronation of Justin Herbert. I know it's LA, but it's like, come on, man. I don't know if anybody is like dying to watch the Chargers play. Then, of course, the New York market makes no sense to me at all. Minnesota really makes no sense to me at all. Vegas, I'm gonna assume that's one of the money plays as far as New York teams, and Dallas would be up there. It's kind of in that same realm of, okay, the city makes a lot of money. You need to see them in prime time so people will come to the games and generate a lot of revenue. Detroit, I'm not mad at Detroit sitting there at 4. I feel like they got a scrappy team. And, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing them. They got some superstars over there. It was just Jameson Williams from last year's draft. A lot of people are excited to see what he can do with a full season under his belt. And then they just got somebody else. Not Jack Campbell, and then they got somebody else.
The Lions, they got Jahmyr Gibbs. And Henry second or third round as well.
Yeah. That's not a bad grab, I ain't gonna lie. So they definitely got something to work with. And you know, and the hooker, nothing else. You could send some gadget player, get him in the field, run some, you know, some stuff where you don't know whether he's gonna run or throw, you know. I feel like I'm not mad at them having 4. Chicago makes no sense. You know, so those are some of the things that stick out to me. After 4, I really don't care. Bengals and the Ravens should definitely be knocked up. They really should take the place of like Green Bay and Minnesota, if I'm being honest. But I don't know. I really don't think that like the NFL was going into it like this team needs to have so many primetime games. And I certainly hope not, because by the looks of this, they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I entirely agree. I mean, why the Bengals and the Ravens are on the same level of teams like the Patriots or the Broncos. I mean, these teams are dreadful to watch. From a pure entertainment standpoint, you want teams that are going to excite you, score a lot of points, just provide pure entertainment in the right ways. You know, like we were talking about the Cowboys, they were a laughingstock at the end of the year, and that's entertainment, but in the wrong ways. We have the Patriots. They were a laughingstock last year in the complete wrong way. The Broncos, same exact thing. Why are they getting 4 primetime games? I'm sitting here thinking the Miami Dolphins with one of the fastest wide receiver duos in the NFL having only 3. You know, the Seattle Seahawks were surprised.
Seattle and Jacksonville, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm honestly shocked that we aren't seeing more of, you know, the rookie quarterbacks. I think Bryce Young probably deserves. Everybody knew Bryce Young was going to the Panthers. They are, you know, kind of getting a lot of preseason hype right now. I thought they deserved a little bit more airtime. The Saints are probably going to be relatively Dudley this year. I think they could have been bumped down. I think the Commanders getting 1 game seems oddly fitting. And, you know, Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, they can get 0. I could care less. You know, the Titans, the Rams, they probably won't be fantastic. I'd bump them down. The biggest thing that didn't make sense to me, though, was the fact that we saw a clear correlated jump for the Jets in terms of primetime games with the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers, right? But there wasn't that same type of impact for the Packers, who lost Aaron Rodgers. If he's going to have a clear impact for the Jets in terms of how much airtime they're going to get primetime-wise, why wasn't there the same impact for the Packers? Like, why aren't they getting bumped down while the Jets are getting bumped up? I didn't quite understand that. The logic that goes into it, obviously, is way over our heads. But like I said, just breaking this down from a very simplistic standpoint, I was confused by a lot of the decisions here. Like the Bears, I could see for, you know, in some different ways. I'm not sure how many viewers they draw in on a regular basis, but Justin Fields is electric. You know, they brought in DJ Moore, a lot of offseason hype, so I can see that. But, you know, like I said, the Broncos, the Steelers, even the Patriots, a lot of puzzling decisions across the board. Pokemon, happy to see you in here. What's going on, man? Robert, nice to see you guys in here. I'm happy to see all the names, all the comments down in the comment section. So if you're in here, drop hello. You gonna say something?
Yeah, like I agree with you. And also from an entertainment perspective, you had 2 of the 3 top quarterbacks go in the same division. And both of those teams do not get a primetime game, even though they will have to see each other twice this year, assuming both of them are starting. I feel like that, you know, I feel like that would attract some eyes for prime time, especially if they have like a week 2 or 3 matchup where it's still early and, you know, it's still speculative, like, oh, could he be good? Or, you know what I'm saying? Because people have already made their decision whether you're a bust or not by week 11. So, like, do it early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I am kind of shocked they didn't want to squeeze more of the young guys, you know, under the spotlight, because there's been a ton of talk around this draft class. So I entirely agree. All right. Yeah. I mean, those are the primetime games. This is probably the most content we're going to get this offseason. The schedule release, the draft, the primetime games. This is about as much as we're going to squeeze out of the lemon. So I'm taking advantage of it while it's still relatively recent.
Right.
But yeah, we'll move on. We're going to go right on to the Q&A. This is the format. I'm still kind of figuring it out whether I still want to have Q&A here at this spot. Still kind of trying to find out what I want to do. But nevertheless, we're going to move on. I'm going to move my banners around. I need a producer. All right. So I have 3 Q&A questions for you. One is football related, one is personal related, and one is not football related at all. And it's just kind of like a shits and giggles type of question. So the first question for you is going to be this. This is from Micah on Facebook. He dropped a comment, and he said, who is the best player at each skill position in NFL history and why, offensively? Yeah, that was a bomb. He dropped a bomb.
The best, and I love how he said best and not greatest. That's my favorite part of that question, because now I get to be a little controversial. So the best quarterback, like the best quarterback who just is out there, like just managing the game, just putting things on a rope, letting the finger flick. You got to flick your brother, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you probably know where I'm going. I'm going Peyton Manning. Like, dude, come on now. Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, is a dog, right? He's a dog. Some of the throws he makes are ridiculous. The way he can precision point the ball, where if it's in red zone and he wants to throw it to only where it's tight and he can get it, he'll high point it while the defender's back is turned, and he's it's just a whole lot of technical stuff that goes into being a great quarterback. And Tom Brady exhibits 95, if not 99% of it, because he can't run. So there's one element he can't do. But Peyton Manning is just like, I don't know, he's just a freak. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go too much into it, but I'm going to say Peyton Manning for my quarterback. For my running back,
this is tough too. This can go in many ways.
The best ever.
I mean, we're talking like Barry. We're talking like Bo.
For some reason, I want to say LaDainian Tomlinson.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say Barry Sanders for the sake of, I don't know, man. I'm going LaDainian Tomlinson, man. Okay. I really just feel like LaDainian was superior. He was S tier. Like, there was no stopping him in his prime. Like, and that's another thing, because we have to think about what best means. It means at your peak, who was better than you? And I don't know how many running backs I'm saying that guy was definitively better than LT in LT's prime.
Yeah.
I mean, proof being he broke the record for touchdowns in the season, right? So he just went crazy when he was there in San Diego. And I'm going to say LT as my running back, slightly above Barry Sanders. For a wide receiver, I'm going Randy Moss. It's not even close.
Randy Moss. All right.
Jerry's not even close. All right. Jerry's 3.
Is Megatron not even in this conversation for you? Megatron not even up there?
Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Big Gap, Jerry Rice.
That's going to make some people upset.
Jerry Rice, Julio Jones is at 4.
Okay.
But yeah. And Terrell Owens is there at 5. But as far as just ridiculousness, speed, size, strength, he's just jogging by people. Like, he's crazy. Yeah. He's floating on air, dude. Like, snagging out there. Like, it's ridiculous. He's 6'4" with a 103 speed in Madden with, like, I don't know. Randy was different. Randy was just simply different. And so for tight end, I'm going to say, I mean, it's one of 2 people, and I hate them both. So, I mean, it's either Gronk or Travis.
Yeah, right.
Tony Gonzalez is up there too. Because I do appreciate what Tony had to say when he said, when I think about the best, he says, I think about, could one of them do what the others did with what the others were given? right? So now you got to think about Rob Gronkowski had Tom Brady. Tom Brady abusing this guy, but Rob Gronkowski is just big and strong and fast enough to where it doesn't matter. You can't stop him. And then, of course, Travis Kelce can just get open. I don't know how he does it, honestly. 2, 3 people, it doesn't matter. He's open somehow. Even if he's not, he's good enough to where he can make the catch, and you know what I mean. So, and then Tony Gonzalez was a freak as well. I'm gonna give it to Travis Kelce. I think Gronk, a lot of his was just, I'm bigger than you, and you can't stop me. Like, that was it. Travis Kelce is a technician. This dude is just, you playing man, nah, you can't beat me, man. You can't cover me. Playing zone, now you stupid. I know where the before the play even starts. I'm telling my quarterback plays, you know what I mean? 13 seconds was all Travis Kelce. So I'm going with Travis Kelce as my best tight end in NFL history. That was a good question.
So we got Peyton Manning, LaDainian Tomlinson, Travis Kelce, and Randy Moss. I think that's a pretty respectable group of guys there. I think,
I think Tomlinson is going to turn heads.
Yeah, that I do agree. I think people would get a hell bent if you didn't say Tom Brady nowadays, regardless of the verbatim of the question between best and greatest.
He's the greatest. He's the greatest.
He's like, right. That's the part of the question, like you mentioned, that matters. Like best or greatest, and that's where people have the argument. Pokemon says Marshawn Lynch for the running back, Moss for the receiver. He agrees with you there. Coach Boom throws in Antonio Gates. I do think his name deserves to be a part of the conversation to an extent. But I do think we're getting to a point where Travis Kelce is, if not it yet, he will be. He showed no signs of slowing down. I mean, Gronk retired, around the same age that Travis Kelce is still a top 5 pass catcher in this league, legitimately. So we are seeing greatness at a ridiculous age for a position that we really haven't seen it at this level before. So Travis Kelce is breaking all sorts of barriers at the tight end position. And I think
Travis Kelce, man.
Absolutely. If he's not the best yet, he's going to be in just a year or two pretty unanimously. And I think, like you said, he just plays the position so closely to a receiver, and no tight end has really been able to do it at that level. So I totally agree with you there.
I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
But like, Travis Kelce is like a blessing in disguise for us, I think, right? Because he's tortured us for going on half a decade now. He's tortured us, right? And yet he may be our saving grace, because if this dog Kincaid is as good as we think he is, and he gets the blueprint from '87, we can get this kid for another 10, 15 years, or hey, maybe even longer, like, with the way Travis Kelce is going. So, he may be the reason that we have a dynamic trio, for the next half decade. You know what I mean?
No, I completely hear you. I mean, he's really transformed the position, and now guys like Dalton Kincaid are going to be following in the footsteps. It's kind of like what we're seeing at the quarterback position right now. It's gone from being a traditional pocket passer, make your 1-2 progression, get rid of the ball. If there's nothing there, don't take a sack, or take a sack instead of playing hero ball. But now we're transitioning to quarterbacks that are athletic, that can move outside the pocket, open up the playbook in ways that quarterbacks haven't been able to before. And, the matchup nightmare that Travis Kelce provides in a similar fashion is kind of going to be that revelation we see at tight end. So you're entirely right. And I'm hoping Dalton Kincaid, I saw some rumor for some stupid Twitter page that said the Bills are going to try to use Kincaid the same way that the Chiefs use Kelce. Who knows? Nobody knows what Ken Dorsey's going to do. I know he's not the biggest of fan favorites right now, but we have to trust that, there are skill position players in place to help Josh succeed. It's just got to, the key's got to be in the right hands. So hopefully we'll see how it plays out, but you're entirely right in that regard. I agree 100%. The second question I have for you, and I'm really interested to see, this is my own question. I want to see what you say to this. What has been the best, let me rephrase that. What has been the best / most memorable moment of your content career thus far? You're a very young one at that. That's a tough one.
Most memorable moment. That is. You know what it was? I think I know it. I think it was after we left our previous situation, and we were all kind of in limbo. It was a few of us. We were kind of in limbo. And we were thinking about, just doing something as a group, starting our own thing. But then, like, some people were like, and it almost got to a point where, like, everybody was just going to go their own separate way. And then, like, the heavens opened. And, I get the call from Mookie. And, being able to bring an opportunity back to my guys, guys that trusted in me and believed in me, and being able to, say, like, I got you, like, you know what I mean? Like, being able to give them a place to help grow, you know what I mean? I feel like I was like my proudest moment. Like, I felt like, all right, you know what I mean? Now there's nothing that can stop us. You know what I mean? Like, we were kind of at a rough point, but it's always darkest before dawn, and that was a pretty cool moment. Being able to text you guys, let you guys know, like, that was really cool moment.
Yeah, that was, I couldn't believe, like, when you texted us that, like, that was pretty damn cool. I wasn't sure what you were going to say to this question, but I knew this would definitely be one of the moments that you'd have in consideration. But that was, just getting that text was pretty cool, let alone, I would imagine, being there, or being the person that got the text and then being able to do what you've done so far. It's been magical. You talked to Von Miller at some point too, right? Was that in consideration for that?
I actually wasn't supposed to say that.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't talk to. I didn't get. No. I said it, so it's on me. I didn't get to speak to him. Okay. But there was a conversation being had, and he was on the other end of the call.
Okay.
And I heard his voice, and I'm in like, oh, this Von Miller. You know what I mean? So that was really cool. It was surreal, bro. Like, you hear this guy on news conferences and you see him on commercials and that's crazy stuff, and like, dog, he's on the other end of his phone call. It's crazy. So that's just a moment.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And when I heard about that too, I was like, damn, that's pretty surreal is a perfect word for that type of situation, for sure. All right, but cool. The final question, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this on the show. I wanted to test it out with you. I know we'd have a good time with it.
I like it. I think
it's this question's so unrelated to football and really anything show related, but this is going to be kind of dumb, but I want to see how it goes. So out of these things, which I'm going to show you in a second, what would you choose to defend? You pick two, the rest will come to kill you. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing stupid shit like this, but I wanted to try it. Because, like, I've had this type of conversation with my friends before in group chats. So, like, this will go on for, like, hours having arguments about stuff like this.
Right. All right. Bottom left. What is that?
10,000 rats. I feel like you got to go with the rats, right? Yeah, like, how do you not go with the rats? Just for this.
That's too many rats. Yeah.
Like, if you're going to get attacked by the rats,
number.
Yeah, you're in trouble. Like, they might not help you too much defensively, but if you're getting attacked by the rats, you're done. Right?
Yeah. Because I know what the best defense is. The best defense is the 50 Hawks.
Yeah, I think I would agree. And then combining that with the ground power of the 10,000 rats.
Yeah.
But then what do you do?
Oh, it's two. Oh, I get two. Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I'm picking the Hawks and the Rats. I mean, coming to kill me, I got 50 swirling Hawks around me and 10,000 rats around. Like, how are you going to get to me? Yeah, absolutely. Those two. Yeah,
I feel like the only threat would be the hunter. Like, the Hawks would have to get to the hunter fast to get, like, you'd have to somehow avoid like the first however long it would take to survive.
Oh, that's true.
Pokemon says the gorilla and the hunter. So that's like so you got the beef with the gorillas and then the hunter. Yeah. But like the hunter's not getting rid of 10,000 rats. Like I feel like 10,000 rats and getting rid of 5 gorillas, not easily, but I don't know. It's tough. Like, and then the coyotes, the bulls.
Have you ever seen Suicide Squad?
I know the premise of it. I've never seen it.
So at the end of Suicide Squad 2, there's this big star alien monster. And the way they defeat this monster is with a bunch of rats. The rats like climb up and like jump inside of his eye and they swimming around all this nasty, right? And I gotta imagine that was probably about 10,000 rats, and they killed an alien. So, I'm gonna go with the Hawks and the Rats, man, for sure.
I think the Rats are a must. I think the Rats are a must. Whether you go with the Hawks, I think the Hawks would be tough to take down. Like, there's nothing else. You have to have the Hunter take down all the Hawks, and I don't know if that's possible. So I think I'd have to agree with you.
The only thing that worries me about the Hawks.
Yeah.
My bad. The only thing that worries me about the Hawks is the Wolves. But I think that 50 Hawks would be able to take out 15 Wolves. But they would do a dent on the Hawks for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bears will get flustered. The Alligators will get flustered. The Lions will get flustered. The Grills will get flustered. Just because there's not very many of them.
Yeah.
The Mooses is a problem. Them just huge.
It's fine. I can take the Rats and the Birds. The rest will fall and beat them down. I don't know if you're going to be able to take out however many rats are left, man. That's funny. All right. That's always fun to do something stupid like that. I love having conversations that just don't matter about the stupid shit like that. But all right, we're going to move on. We're going to go on to the next segment. This is what I call the Hilltop of Hypothesis. And this is all centralized around an idea that you would die defending. If you have a take, an opinion, whether it's hot, cold, obvious, stupid, anything, football related, that you would stand on the top of a hill and defend till the day you die, and you will not change your mind. Do you have a take that fits that description?
Randy Moss is better than Jerry Rice. I mean, that's not the one I was coming in to say, but that's one. He's better, dude. Are we serious? Like, I don't listen. I get the Jerry Rice is a great wide receiver, one of the best ever. He's magnificent. He's spectacular, dude. Randy Moss was a freak. Randy Moss was a Martian, dude. He was not real. He's the Josh Allen of wide receivers, where it's like, dude, that's just not. What are we doing, right? Like, this guy can run past anybody. He was kind of soft, so he didn't want to, but he could run through anybody. Yeah. But like he was so finesse, so fast, so quick. Like, you couldn't do anything with Randy. Randy playing in this day where they can't hit you, they can't touch dog. It's not fair. It's not fair. So I'm not gonna. I'm sorry. All right, so the one I came in willing to defend was that Brandon Beane has yet to have a bad offseason. That was okay. But I feel like that's fairly obvious. You know what I mean? But it is one that I would die defending because he's had a spectacular, at least offseason every single year so far. So, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I think people have gotten to be a lot more critical of Brandon Beane over the last 2 seasons now, right? Just after, and that's where people are starting to. That's where the argument lies. Like, is it actually Brandon Beane's fault, or is it the way the coaching staff are utilizing the players that he brings in? That's really where the conversation is. It's living right now in that limbo gray area state. But the thing that I think Brandon Beane has caught the most heat about as of late is his drafting. He really hasn't had a hit in the first round since Josh and Tremaine. The impact of players that we bring in has not been great. We're seeing all these teams, they bring in these guys in the first round, second round, and they're having day one, year one impacts, and not just regular impacts. I mean, they are making a difference on the offensive, defensive side of the ball regularly on a week-to-week basis. And it feels like the Bills haven't had that type of immediate type of impact and a guy they just draft. And, like we were just saying, it all really falls on whether you believe that's because the players that we're drafting aren't as great as maybe they're advertised as, or the coaching staff isn't necessarily giving them an opportunity. And that's the whole Kaiir Elam situation is a perfect example of this. Nobody knows what really happened with Kaiir Elam last year, why he wasn't seeing the field in front of guys that he probably should have been, and simply just given an opportunity. I mean, he struggled to start, but at the end of the day, we drafted him to be this lengthy physical corner that he really was, he came up big in that Miami game specifically when he had to play. He had to play a lot of press man next to Trey White on the boundary in the slot. He traveled with these fast receivers, and that was, I think, his best game. And we're sitting back and we're thinking, why is this guy not seeing the field? Is that because he wasn't great at, in training camp and practice throughout the offseason? Or is that because, maybe the coach had something to do with it? I don't know. Like, that's where the conversation lies. But he's definitely got a lot more heat. Brandon Beane was like on a pedestal for the first few years when he was here. But now he's kind of been put under the microscope a little bit more than I think we're used to. So I would agree in the sense that it's been a hot topic. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So for me, when I look at it, and I'm when I say this, I mean it technically, right? Yeah. I mean it literally. It's not really up for interpretation. Like, it's just a matter of fact, honestly, right? Because the reason he got such high praise after the first 3 years is because we sucked for 20 years, right? We sucked for 20 years, and then they come around and change the entire culture in a short amount of time, where it's like, what? Like, some of us weren't even alive to see what happened, in the glory days or whatever the case may be, right? So we don't know none of that. I was born in 95. I didn't see none of the Super Bowls. As soon as I could perceive football, we sucked. So, like, this is, excuse me, this is my first time really getting to see a good team. And we watched Brandon Beane do that. In a short amount of time, we became one of the best teams in the league. Now, people will nitpick the roster, right? Which is fair, because everybody deserves some criticism, because nobody's perfect. However, nitpicking the roster and having a bad season, nitpicking the roster and maybe not feeling like not having tremendous players at every single position, like if it was that easy, then everybody would do it, right?
Right.
Well, year after year, we're one of the best teams in the league. Year after year, going into week one, everybody in the world believes the Bills could win the Super Bowl. Most people believe the Bills should win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So if I put a roster on the field that is blowing people out in the first 5 weeks, just routing people, right? And then all of a sudden, something happens. And now they're not mediocre. They were really, really good, but they're not the juggernaut that they were before.
Yeah.
How is that on Brandon Beane? Right? You can talk about the lack of pass rush, and I get all that. I understand it. If there's 13 seconds left in the game, he's supposed to win that game. In other words, Brandon Beane has done his job, because they would have, could have, should have won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
For the last 3 years, they could have, would have, should have won the Super Bowl, which means Brandon Beane has done his job. And, I mean, he can't develop players. He can't, coach them and tell them where to be on the field. And, he can't motivate them to, every, Sunday before the game. All he can do is analyze what he has, analyze what's available, and say, declare a value to whatever is available and say, I'm willing to give this up for that.
Yeah.
And I think they can help my team in this way. And for the most part, he's been right. Like, Gregory Rousseau, we'll see, right? Boogie Basham is not good. And I don't want to say he's not good, but he's not second round. He's not second round good. And I don't know if that's because of development. I don't know if that's because he just wasn't that good to begin with. I don't really know, right? I know when I watched this tape, I was kind of underwhelmed, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And Jan Panessa, we thought he was about to be a dog, and then he just disappeared. So I don't know. But then you look at all the late round picks, crazy in the late round. What it is, like, I don't know if those players are just more dedicated to being great, or maybe they work harder because they've had it harder, or I don't know what it is. But them late round picks be showing up and showing out. Matt Milano, Teron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Levi Waller, like, they just show out. I don't know what it is. But it's Brandon Beane's eye, him and his scouts that see these undrafted players, that see these 5th round picks, 7th round picks, is able to make the roster, not only make the roster, but get a second contract that can play valuable minutes for a championship caliber defense.
Yep.
So you can say, hey, he's missed on some 1st and 2nd round picks. All right. For every 1st and 2nd round pick he's missed on, he's hit on a 5th or a 6th or a 7th or an undrafted, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's kind of like if you would attribute what Teron Johnson, a late round pick, were to doing to what year did he get? Oh, he got drafted with Josh Allen. So bump that. Let's say like a Dane Jackson or something, somebody of that ilk of like late round pick. If you attribute what they've done and they've had to your 1st and 2nd round pick, you really wouldn't be that mad.
Yep.
So it's kind of a wash to me if I think, you know what I mean? So, or Matt Milano might be a better example, right? If you attribute his success to a 1st pick, you're not upset with that production. So I don't. And again, you'd have to nitpick because he has been so phenomenal that it almost frustrates you. Like, why aren't we winning a championship?
Yeah.
We have to figure out why we aren't winning a championship. We got to poke holes in his team. No, this is wrong. This is bad. We need to change this. And really, the coaching really just ain't been great. So,
Yeah. So bottom line is that you're a firm believer that it's a lot more on the coaching side of things. It's more about what's happening in the locker room, on the field, at practice than it is, with the paperwork in the front office, at draft day. It's more about, the middle level. The middle, there's the players, the management, or the players, the coaches, the management. You think the problem underlies right in the middle. I think it's pretty hard to disagree with that at this stage,
feel like
right?
Brandon Beane's only big mistake so far in his entire tenure with the Bills was letting Tremaine Edmonds walk away for nothing. That's his only huge mistake. I didn't like the fact that they let Sean McCoy go, but outside of that,
yeah. No, I mean, he really hasn't had what I would consider a massive blunder. And we don't even know what the Bills post Tremaine Edmonds is going to be like. So, if they go out and they adapt just fine, God bless. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds was great, but we're still a good defense. We're still a good football team. So, I'm excited to see what that defense looks like.
They thought it was. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Let me keep cutting you off.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, the Chiefs let go with Tyreek Hill, and everybody thought the world was collapsing. So, I mean, they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what this defense looks like without Tremaine, without Leslie Frazier head manning it. I think Sean McDermott's bringing a new mojo to this defense. I'm excited to see it. But yeah, Raleigh, what's going on, man? Nice to see your face in the comments, brother. All right, so I like that one because he's been under the microscope lately, and he's gotten a lot more criticism than what us and Bills Mafia are used to. So that's a pretty good one because you could find some patrons out there that would certainly, give you a good argument surrounding that. All right, so move on. We're going to go on to our second headline of the day. This is going to be the final one. Like I said, there's not too much going on around the NFL, but this is somewhat big news. I don't know if you caught wind of it, but Davante Adams, as of late, has been kind of running his mouth about how things are going in Las Vegas, and he's not too pleased. Long story short, he believes the team is going in a direction that he doesn't think is successful. He thinks the team is settling. He's unhappy considering he's 30 years old. He wants to win championships. His buddy that he came there to play with is gone. A lot has changed within a year for Davante Adams. And, I'm sitting here thinking, like, if I'm Davante, maybe you shouldn't have considered going there in the first, being realistic. It's great to go play with your buddy. It's also great, something that he highlighted a lot lately in this article that I read by The Ringer. He apparently wanted to escape the Aaron Rodgers shadow. He didn't want to be known as just another receiver that was made great because of this Hall of Fame quarterback. He wanted to get out of there and kind of prove himself that he was him. In his own right. And he definitely did that. He highlighted in this article, he literally said himself word for word, like, I got the call that I was an all-pro and I just sighed relief. Like he was that hung up on being just that guy himself. And And that brings me to my first question for you. Did you ever see Davante Adams as a receiver that was made because of Aaron Rodgers? Like, of course it helped, but to me, he was always, not just a beneficiary of Rodgers, but Rodgers was a beneficiary of having him around. I thought Davante Adams has always been, an alpha in this league ever since his 20 touchdown season. That was really when he exploded. But, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was happy when he left. I didn't like the Packers. I feel like they were a threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having a quarterback that good with a wide receiver that good, I felt like it was like, that's Josh Steffish. And, if you can break one of those up anytime you can, that's a good thing. Just like with Pat and Tyreek. If you can, I don't care that they won a Super Bowl. I'm still glad Tyreek Hill's not there. But at the same time, so for me, if I'm looking at it from Davante Adams' perspective, I really understand why he thought that people thought he was in Aaron Rodgers' shadow, because that's totally different things to me, at least. Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback, and he's old and doesn't have a ton more time left. Like and you are out here catching anything thrown to you. You're in the crispiest routes. Like, if anybody watches film, they will respect that you're a great wide receiver. You're top 1%. So I don't know where that came from, but I can also see where he's come from, like wanting to go to the Bears, right? Especially when they bring you in and they give you the big slideshow and they tell you, hey, got big plans. This is what we're doing. We're bringing in this and this guy. We're bringing in that guy. We're going to have a juggernaut team, which it looked like they have one. Like these, it pan out. But him buying and believing in them, he signed that contract. He paid a lot of money. His best friend didn't do so, and now he's in a position where he's kind of in no man's land. We're stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel him. I understand. I would want if I'm here to win championships and now Jimmy Garoppolo is my quarterback, I'm mad. I don't trust this either. Like, what are we doing? We didn't even draft a quarterback, so I'm tight. I don't believe in this at all. So I get it, but listen, man. The grass ain't always greener. It ain't always greener.
And I think he's quickly going to figure out that, as great as it probably was for him to get that self-validation and kind of proving himself to himself, he's going to figure out that at the end of the day, and he mentions it, in that article, that he wants to win championships. That is his primary goal, and it's always been. He made his life that much tougher. And he said word for word, the article said, the front office thinks this is best for us right now to put us in a position to be urgent. We don't see eye to eye as to what we think is best right now. So obviously he's pretty much saying, like, y'all got rid of my boy, brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, clearly not in a position trying to make a push to do anything. You're kind of just settling. He's pretty much saying, like, I'm not trying to be mediocre. He's calling it out to the public. So, I think this guy's gone by the deadline. That's my early, somewhat hot take. There's just no way I see this team being good, not just in their division, but in this conference. They're going to struggle. They are going to struggle. And Josh McDaniels provided nothing positive, offensively last year. It was a very, very, very lifeless offense outside of Adams. And now you bring in a quarterback that I think is actually substantially worse, regardless of how Carr played last year. This team is going to be in shambles very quick. And Davante, I would be shocked if he's there post-deadline. So, I don't know. What about you? Do you think he's there post-deadline?
Oh, wow. That's tough. It really depends on the record. I feel like, if they, let's say, I don't know, what's the trade deadline, like week 9? Something
like that.
Week 8. Yeah. So let's say they're 4-4. I think he wants to get out of there. Unless they're like 6-2 or like a respectable 5-3, where it's like, we've won this game convincingly. We lost some heartbreakers, whatever the case may be. I'm here. I believe in it. I think that he wants to go. And I think that he knows, listen, man, we're in the AFC. It's an arms race right now, and we don't have a nuke, we don't have a nuke. So it's like you basically just waiting to get bombed.
Yep.
I would want to get out too.
Yeah, I mean, and you're playing against Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, a combination of 4 times a year. We're assuming the Broncos should be somewhat better. I would imagine in a relatively realistic world, those two teams are going to be somewhat comparable. So it's not like they're going to be walking through Denver. This is going to be a rough year. And like you said, unless they're a respectable team above 500 or maybe respectable around 500, which I don't think they're going to be, I'm having a hard time imagining 30-year-old Davante Adams who wants to win a championship is going to be staying silent and just kind of staying put with how things are going. All right.
Not only that. Oh, sorry.
No, you're go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, this doesn't instill the most confidence in your starting quarterback now that the wide receiver said, I don't want to be here. Like, if you're really not helping things at all, honestly. Like,
he said the other thing he said was it all depends on the style of ball that we play. If we play a certain brand of ball, I can get Garoppolo to conform to whatever. But if we use him in a certain way, then it's going to make it tough for us to maximize who we should be this year. Pretty much saying, like, if y'all don't let this dude chuck the bitch up to me down the field, then we're not going to win games. Like, I don't care. He's essentially saying, I don't give a shit who my quarterback is. If you don't let him throw me the damn ball down the field, we're going to suck. That's pretty much to me what that is saying in a very polite manner.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, me too. We're seeing the league transform. These guys are becoming more about, looking out for themselves a little bit and trying to also look out for their team in their own right. But he saw what happened last year. I mean, he had a game where he had 1 catch for 3 yards last year. I don't think that ever has happened in Davante Adams' lifetime while he's been at this level performing. He knows what this offense is capable of in a very bad way. So he's looking out for himself. He's looking out for the team. He says that the team kind of, listens to his input. But if Jimmy Garoppolo goes out there and plays the Jimmy Garoppolo kind of ball that we're used to Jimmy Garoppolo playing, it's going to get ugly very, very quick. Piece of information. What's going on, man? Happy to see you down in the comments. All right, let's move on. We're going to move on to the segment that I'm going to call Over Under. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to provide to you 3 teams with a win-loss, their win-loss projection according to FanDuel Sportsbooks, and you're going to tell me if they're going to go under or if they're going to go over. So we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it at home. Miami Dolphins. What do you got? Over under 9.5 victories. Let me get to the schedule. Here you go. Here's the schedule.
9.5 victories. Let's see. After just a quick glance, dang, 9.5 is a good number.
Yeah. It's a good line.
It's a good
lot of
line.
toss-ups.
I got them at 9, but I could see them squeaking one out there. But I also could see them losing when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm going over.
You're gonna go over?
I see 10. I'll say 10.
It's gonna be tight, but you gotta keep things into consideration, right? So you got the Dolphins at 10. We go over to the Jets, right? Who are also at 9.5. What do you got for the Jets?
That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they're at 9.5.
I'm taking all the money in my account and bumping under.
You got the under on the Jets?
I'm going under. Like the monsters in your room. Under the bed. The Jets are the new Broncos.
Wow. So, okay, I was going to say, like, I feel like if you have the Dolphins over, you're going to have the Jets under. And very clearly you have the Jets. You have the Jets under. That's where I don't know. I'm so torn on the Jets, man. Like if we saw a team last year that was competing with a quarterback that did not even belong in the realm of a starting role. And now they're getting a guy who's, washing up on shore a little bit, but is far more competent. And it's tough. And like I said, it's either the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets are not all going over 10 wins. That's the thing.
Right.
So if you have the Bills over 10, which most people do, then you have the Dolphins over 10, then the Jets can't be. Or if you have the Jets over 10, the Dolphins can't be. It's really a game of cat and mouse.
So for me with the Jets,
You're kind of cutting out. Did I lose you? I don't know if I lost him.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, he's kind of. Yeah, you're kind of fading in and out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That sucks. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry, man. It sucks.
No, you're good. Okay. So if you got the Jets under,
I feel like you're right. Right? They were competing with a I think it's like a little bit of like a delay. But I'm gonna just say the thing and maybe hope that like we're not trying to talk at the same time. So okay, so for me, the Jets, you're right. They had they were competing with a quarterback that really wasn't starter capacity. He was a starter, right? And then I think that they competed even better with Mike White because Zach Wilson sucked. And I think Mike White actually has potential. And I'm a little scared of him in Miami, if I'm going to be honest. But so they competed with Mike White. They competed for the most part with Zach Wilson, right? And I feel like they are right now where we were in the 2019 season. That season we went 10-6. Where we beat the Cowboys, and it was like, oh, the Bills, are they actually a good team now? Oh, my God. All right. I think they are going to be this year where we were at that point. And I feel like instead they went and they took a quarterback, right? So now they slowed down the development of their team because now you got this quarterback who might be over the moon. We'll see. But you got him for 2 years, at minimum 2 years. And you don't really he's going to retire soon. Like he's not going to play very much longer. So you now lose 2 years of development with whatever quarterback you felt like should be the guy for you, right? And they don't know how to win yet. They don't learn how to win together. They haven't gotten their bumps and bruises. So now they thinking, all right, we hot crap because we didn't make the playoffs last year. Now we got Aaron Rodgers, and that's going to be the difference. No, you're not championship contenders, dog. Like, no, that's not how this works. Dude, you gotta build it. You know what I mean? You can't just have a bunch of pieces to say, let's do it. Like, you saw that last year with the Raiders. You saw that with the Broncos. You can't just do that. I don't know. So I just feel like the Jets are going to be a major disappointment this year.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like when it comes to the Jets, you're either on one side of the fence or on the other, and you either think they're going all the way or you think they're going to flat out suck. They're going to have they're going to be the Broncos do-over, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that are on the fence.
I say like.
What'd you say? I missed that last part.
8-9. Say like 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I think they'll probably the Dolphins or the Jets. One of those two will be in that win range, and it'll be interesting to see, how it ends up panning out in this division because we have 3 teams that are supposed to have high expectations, and then New England Patriots team 2 who sometimes fights when they probably shouldn't. They, as much as we all believe they should roll over and die, they really never do. So, it's going to be. I think the AFC has the potential to be the most entertaining division in football next year. And from a non-Bills fans perspective, a football fans perspective, I'm really excited for that. Am I excited that now we have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, all of this young, experienced talent combining to take us down? No, I'm not. But from a football fan perspective, it's going to make for some pretty damn good matchups. Adam, happy to see you down in the comments, bro. Piece of information says Miami over, or he says under for Miami and over for New York. So he's on the other side of the fence than you are for these two teams. It really is a toss-up, man. It feels like it at this point. Until the season draws closer, I have a hard time making a confident choice. But all right, so I'm probably going to do like 2 teams per episode until the season starts. So we'll move on. He's got over for the Dolphins and under for the Jets. I'll keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to move on to another new segment. This is called the Caveman's Advocate. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of the other banner. The Caveman's Advocate. So it's pretty straightforward. The Caveman's Advocate pretty much stands for Devil's Advocate. I'm going to play Devil's Advocate I'm going to provide a topic to Justus. He's going to give his opinion, and whether if I agree with his opinion or I disagree, no matter what, I'm always going to be on the other side of the conversation, and I'm going to do my best, whether I actually believe it or not, to fight Justus and have a debate with Justus from the other side. So we have a very, very good topic for tonight because I think this could get passionate. It hurts my heart to do, but I think I can see where this is going. The topic of conversation for Caveman's Advocate is this: should the consensus at this point be that Joe Burrow is the better quarterback than Josh Allen? Justus, I kind of feel like I know where you're going with this, but I'd like to hear from you. Did I lose him again? I think I kind of lost you. If you have been watching for a few minutes now, you probably know where Justus is going to go with this. And as a Bills fan myself, it pains me to have to go the way that I know I'm going to have to go, but I'm prepared. I'm prepared to kind of stand my ground and take the opinion that I feel like a lot of people probably do have at this point. If you're not a fan of either team, if you're not a Bills fan, if you're not a Bengals fan, you definitely you probably more often than not are going to view it Burrow over Allen. Like piece of information says, no question. Like, yeah, Burrow over Allen. Hold on. He's back. There we go. All right. No, you're good. So, Justus, tell me, what side of the fence do you find yourself when it comes to this conversation? Adam says Joe Burrow, not gonna lie, kind of sucks.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't hear the question.
No, should the consensus at this point be that Joe Burrow is the better quarterback than Josh Allen?
Yeah, you did this on purpose.
I did, because I knew what it would do.
Oh my God, no! What? Yo, listen, yo. Joe Burrow is not in the same stratosphere. Better at what? At throwing the ball? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, his mechanics are better. He's a little more accurate. That's it. That's the only thing he does better than Josh Allen on the entire football field. He throws it to Jamar Chase better than Josh Allen because Josh Allen doesn't have Jamar Chase. Hey, he throws it to T. Higgins better. Like, he listens to his offensive coordinator who has a clue what he's doing better. Like, that is what Joe Burrow does better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen is clearly, you know what I mean, like, physically, and almost every way conceivable, he's better than Joe Burrow. He can run, he can throw, he can stiff slam, jump over. Like, the guy is not from this planet. And Joe Burrow, wow, he is really, really good. Like, you take a look at, again, when I look at the best player, I always look at it's relative. It's a relative thing. Given the same circumstances, who would perform better in any given situation? If Joe Burrow plays for the Bills, are the Bills in the divisional round of the playoffs? Positively, absolutely not. No. I'd say no. I don't think so. Our offensive line is not that good. Joe Burrow would get demolished. But since Josh Allen is big, strong, fast, he can shrug off defensive linemen and, escape pressure, right? Joe Burrow's getting crushed behind our offensive line. I mean, we see it because he gets crushed behind his own.
Joe Burrow was getting sacked left and right, too. They run to the Super Bowl. Exactly. Joe Burrow was getting smacked. And he still took them to the Super Bowl. He was getting smacked left and right. So what makes you think he wouldn't survive behind our offensive line?
But it's easier because there is no Jamar Chase to hot route to. And then there's no T. Higgins taking the double team away from Jamar Chase, because you could say Stephon Diggs is Jamar Chase. That's fair. He's as good as Jamar Chase. But there is no T. Higgins to take coverage, to shade coverage away from Jamar Chase, right? And if you got the shade coverage on Jamar Chase, there's no T. Higgins to throw to. Gabe Davis is not as good as T. Higgins, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. That's just the fact of the matter. And who was our third receiver last year? Isaiah McKenzie? Is he supposed to be as good as Tyler Boyd? Oh, no. So, I mean, I love me some Devin Singletary.
But, why are we punishing the guy for having opportunity? No. But why are we punishing the guy for having better weapons? At the end of the day, his accuracy statistics are not always a product of his weapons. It sure helps, but he had an adjusted completion percentage of 78.5% over the last 2 seasons. Joe Burrow has. Josh Allen hovers around 74%. We have, obviously the achievements, what Joe Burrow has done in the postseason, how far he's gotten. He's slain the dragon with Patrick Mahomes. He's been a guy that he's shown poise. He knows when to cut the cord. He knows when to take a sack instead of playing hero ball. The thing with Joe Burrow is the fact that you know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis. It is the Joe Burrow. He might not play at that top-tier Joe Burrow level, but it is going to be a safe level of football that drives the ball downfield at an efficient rate. That's the Joe Burrow we get on a week-to-week basis. What do we get from Josh Allen on a week-to-week basis, at least as far as last year goes? We didn't know. And we could wake up and we could see a Joe Burrow Josh Allen that looked like he'd never played football before. He looked like he's a deer in headlights. We could blame it on Ken Dorsey. We could blame it on the lack of weapons. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen had a ball protection problem. Joe Burrow didn't. Joe Burrow doesn't. And as much as I love Josh for being able to extend the play and having the willingness and determination, the bottom line is he puts the ball in harm's way when he can. When Josh Allen had the opportunity to come back against the Vikings, he throws a ball to Gabe Davis that they're familiar with. They thought they had the look in a situation he didn't have to. That was crushing. I mean, that was heartbreaking losing that game, because everything that happened with the Justin Jefferson catch and the fumble on the goal line, seeing him make that toss in that situation, I will talk about a hill of hypothesis. I saw some people defending that throw. That was a throw that I did not think, whether it was the right read or not, it was not the throw he should have been making at that point in time. We had all the time in the world, 3 timeouts, the ball in their territory. We didn't have to do it. Long story short, you're getting a more consistent product from Joe Burrow. He's played at a high enough level to compare him to the best of the best. And, consistency is key in this league. And Josh has struggled with that. So that's the argument with Joe right now between the two is. No, go ahead.
I can appreciate that argument. That was actually very, very well. Very well. I would rebut this. I would say weapons matter, because if we're talking about who is better and who has won more, well, I mean, Josh Allen has a higher winner percentage, but Joe Burrow has obviously gone further. So that's who is better means it's going to be better right immediately, right? Because if we're asking who's more consistent, that leads to a different conversation. Because I give it to you, Joe Burrow is more consistent. However, there is John is this turnover machine, right? Josh Allen has the high usage rate of any singular player in the National Football League, which means naturally he's going to have a higher amount of turnovers given that he has a higher amount of usage with the ball in his hands, right? Josh Allen had 14 interceptions last year. Joe Burrow had 12. So Joe Burrow's not, some Aaron Rodgers, 70% passing, 4 interception season type of quarterback. He puts the ball in harm's way as well. He had 14 INTs last year, the year before last year. So Joe Burrow also is a turnover machine if we're going to categorize people as that. If you want to associate Josh's fumbles into that stat as well, then we have to also incorporate rushing stats in which Joe Burrow was blown out of the water in this entire argument. So I would say that, Josh Allen is a little bit of a wild card, but I don't think we see the deer in headlights Josh anymore. Now we see crazy elite Josh and really, really good Josh. We don't really ever see bad Josh anymore. The only time, and even if Josh makes a couple bad plays that maybe look bad on the score sheet, right? 2 interceptions and a fumble. All right, that looks bad, right? 57% completion percentage. That looks bad. But I'll bet you in that game, he made 4 plays that made you like, what? What was that? Right? That's who Josh Allen is. And excuse me, he is going to be a great player every game because he's a great player. And he's going to make great plays simply because he is just more physically gifted than 95% of other athletes on the field. So that's my rebuttal to the turnover thing and the consistency thing, as well as the weapons.
Yeah, it's like a give and take. I mean, if you want a guy that at any moment, any week can play on a level that we quite frankly have never seen before, then your obvious choice is Josh Allen. Joe Burrow is, he's your prototypical, slightly more athletic than pocket passer-esque type of guy. He's not a statue by any means. He can extend the play, to an extent, but he can't to the extent of Josh Allen. It's just at this point, it's so difficult to sit back and say a guy that has had consistent postseason success, a guy that has been the driving force to an offense, an efficiency rate that has been through the roof. The Bengals have been, and it all is centralized and all started when Joe Burrow got there, in 2021, well, in 2020, but of course, when he had his full season back. That's the bottom line, right? But on a real note, if I'm done playing advocate, I would agree that Josh is still the guy. I did formulate that enough to put myself in the mindset that I did think opposite.
What's the argument?
Long story short, I do think Josh. I would follow your train of thought. I do often find myself thinking like, if Joe was in our situation, how would Burrow do? That's something I do very often, and it's tough to make that kind of argument because it's all based on hypotheticals. But there's still some truth to it. I mean, if you use it as a branch to your tree root, then I think it could be a respectable argument. And at the end of the day, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, they're a lot different than Stephon Diggs, than Gabe Davis, than Isaiah McKenzie or / Khalil Shakir at points. It was, the night and day difference in skill positions is really there. And I really hate that people discredit Josh for the year he had without acknowledging the change that happened at offensive coordinator. We see a guy in Brian Dable kind of have a large hand in Josh Allen's development and the offense and where it got to at the end of the year when 13 seconds happened. And then he goes on to have the year he did with Daniel Jones and the Giants offense and making do with that very bare bones offensive skill position group. And see his continued success. And then over in Buffalo, all of a sudden the offense is looking like a shell of its former self, at least in comparison to what it was at the end of that year when we lost to the Chiefs. It's difficult. I know that people have every right to think what they think of Josh right now. this is the first time that I feel like there is a solid argument against Josh and having Joe over him. Because if you would have asked me, at the start of this year, halfway through this year, I would have told you you're crazy. But they got back to the division, the conference championship. I thought Burrow was truthfully head and shoulders better than what he was the Super Bowl year. I did not think Burrow was the quarterback he was this last season. I thought he made leaps and bounds developmental wise. And
Joe Burrow's a dog.
Yeah, and I thought he was bailed out a lot more often his sophomore year when he went to the Super Bowl than he was this past year. Joe Burrow was more of the driving force. So I've gotten to respect the argument a little bit more than I did before. And I'm a little bit worried from all the chatter we're hearing that, they want to change Josh Allen's game and Josh is to change the way he plays and he has to be safer and all this stuff. And I get it. But, what makes Josh the phenom he is the way he plays football. And I think there just needs to be somebody that tames that. And if Ken Dorsey's that guy, I hope he is. But if he's not, we're going to have to find somebody, because if Josh isn't playing Josh football and he's sitting in the pocket and trying to be a tactical quarterback, it's just not going to be Joe Burrow level. That's just not the kind of guy he is.
So I actually disagree. I think that Josh Allen actually is a cerebral quarterback and he can get to that elite level of pocket passing. I think that if he is in a situation where he has to sit back, stand in the pocket and throw the ball, he's still among the 1%. I still think he's among the elite quarterbacks there, right?
Yeah.
I would, at that point, I'd say, all right, I'd take, Joe Burrow is better than him at standing in the pocket and throwing the football. I'd give that slightly to Joe Burrow, but Josh Allen is still in that tier.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't like bumping him down. Like he still is top tier passer. Yeah, I just meant like in comparison to Joe Burrow specifically, Burrow will be that guy because that is what he specializes in.
That's his game.
He's that type of quarterback. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So for me also it's also like I agree with you. Josh needs to play his game of football. However, I think it can be played differently, more strategically, right? Am I saying that Josh needs to become Peyton Manning and never run ever again? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that we need to stop doing a QB power every fifth play? Yeah, let's not do that every often. We don't need to see a QB sweep every game, Ken Dorsey. Okay? Like, you know what I mean? If Josh is, back to pass and he sees man, it's a blitz. They pick up the blitz where he makes the guys miss. Everybody has his back to him. Take off. That's 50 yards right there. You know what I mean? If it's 3rd and 3 and they play in the zone and, you get outside the pocket and you got, a defender who has to make a decision if he's going to stay at the sticks and guard, the receiver that's there for the first down, or if he's going to come to attack you and you want to, you make that executive decision, I'm going to run and I'm going to run this guy over. I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, be smart about it, but I'm not mad at that. Like, I know how Josh is. Josh, he's a weirdo. Like, he needs to get hit before he can even be focused, right? So, like, and plus I know he's a massive human being. So I'm not necessarily worried about him getting injured as easily as other quarterbacks. But, like, these designed runs, bro, we have running backs. Like, I hate that. Like, every once in a while to throw out the defense, all right, cool. But this dude do it like twice a game. And I'm like, why? I don't know. I don't like that. Personally.
Yeah, I hear you. And that seems to be the direction they're trending, is really trying to get away from designing Josh to be the primary ball carrier, because that's really what he was. Let's say the most effective ball carrier, not necessarily the primary. And hopefully they're able to get away from that. But I do think it derives from the fact that our ground game with the running backs is just not what it should be. Considering the caliber team we're supposed to be, we lack in that regard massively. So, I think we're pretty much on the same page in all reality. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that segment. That was a good one. It's definitely going to be sticking around to stay. All right. So we're going to move on to the final segment, and this one is pretty traditional. The Caveman's quiz game. It's making its return. Justus doesn't have the greatest track record in the quiz game, but the quiz game's been a lot different. It's been through its trial runs. It's refined. I think, Justus, you got the short end of the stick the couple times you played because
I was number one. All right.
Yeah.
I know. One.
And considering the difficulty of the game at the time, that was great. And now I feel like I've gotten bearings as to how it should work. And I'm confident with it. I'm still a little bit iffy with some things, but I think it feels good. With that being said, here is how the quiz game, the new revamped Caveman's quiz game works. So there's 8 questions, 2 of an easy, medium, and hard question. So you're no longer choosing. You get 2 easy, 2 medium, 2 hard, 1 impossible question, and 1 wager. So 2 easies, all the easies equal 10 points. The medium equals 20, hard is 30, the impossible is 50, and then the wager, of course, you will wager your own points. You get bonus points for getting both questions right in a category. So if you get both easies right, you get an extra 10 points. If you get both medium right, you get an extra 20, get both hard, extra 30, etc. There's a wheel spin then for the final Jeopardy question that will determine the category. And once we spin the wheel, you see the category of the question. You will decide how many points you want to wager. So it's a lot, but if you need a reminder as to how anything works, just let me know.
It's Jeopardy.
And here's the leaderboard.
I love this.
The leaderboard it's bare bones. It's cleared off. This is your opportunity to make a statement at number 1 and put up a point total that'll hold you up there for the time that I'm running the quiz game. So you get it? Is it simple? Make sense?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
All right. The Caveman's quiz game, starting off with the first of 2 easy questions, is going to be this. Which division had 3 of the 4 teams finish with the same exact record last season?
Three to 4 teams with the same record. Oh, man. So this either means that 3 of the teams made the playoffs or 3 of the teams didn't make the playoffs.
No time limit. I was thinking about adding a timer, and I'm like,
All right, I know the Broncos suck, so the AFC West is out. Titans suck, the Colts suck, the Texans sucks. Jaguars. I don't know if they had the same record. Indy did pick right after Houston. But the Titans wasn't up there. They were like 7. Oh, man. Not, but the football team didn't have as good of a record. That's the Cowboys. 3 of the teams have the same record?
3 out of the 4.
Wasn't the NFC North? Wait, Packers. They could have the same. NFC South.
You are right. It is the NFC South.
Let's go!
The Buccaneers had an 8-9 record.
I was like, they all suck.
The other three sucked. They all finished 7-9. The Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints all finished 7-9. That division was quite dreadful. Quite dreadful. All right.
Easy one wrong.
No, you're good. That's 10 points. You're off to a good start. So the next easy question, this is for, you get this right, you get another 10 points on top of it. So who was the last wide receiver to win the Triple Crown?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp is right. So there you go. You're off to a good start. You have 30 points to start with after the easy round. The first one took you a bit, but I knew once you started going through all the divisions, it only makes sense to end up with the NFC South. And once you got there, I mean, if you would have started with the NFC South, you would have been there right away. You just did them last, I think, in your head.
Right.
All right. So 30 points on the board after the easy round. We're going on in the medium. And the first medium is this. Who is the Bengals franchise leader in receiving yards?
I feel like that's too obvious. Chad Ochocinco?
You are right. It is Chad Ochocinco. Oh. He is the franchise leader.
I was going to say TJ Houshmandzadeh.
No, it's Ocho. He's got 10,783 career receiving yards. AJ Green had 9,400 for the Bengals.
Oh,
you are right.
Shoot. I forgot about AJ Green. Yeah. I'd have been tight. Okay.
When I made that question, that was what I wanted people to kind of be arguing with.
No, thank God I did, because I would have said AJ Green. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I forgot about him.
All right, there you go. You got 50 points now. You get this one right, you get an extra 20. So you'll have 60 points after the medium round and then 90 points total. So here's the second medium. Which quarterback wide receiver duo connected for the longest touchdown reception of the 22-23 season?
We get hints or something?
Nah, dog. No hints in this version.
All right. It's going to have to be a speedster. Oh! Of course. I was there for that game. Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis.
You are correct. Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. 98 yards, I think it was. Standing in the back of his end zone, Josh Allen heaved it like 40 in air yards to Gabe, who ran the rest of the distance. You are correct. That is that's 60 points on top of the 30 you already had. So you now have a grand total of 90 points going into the hard questions. You're flawless so far. Here we go. The first hard question is going to be this. Which offensive player led the NFL in fumbles recovered and lost combined in 22-23?
Led the league. Was it Josh Allen?
It was not Josh Allen, but that's a good guess. It was not Josh Allen. It was Justin Fields, actually. That would have been kind of a shot in left field. Piece of information, actually, just pulled that. That's pretty damn good. You just kind of pulled it out of your ass like that. Good job, information. It was Justin Fields. Justin Fields had a grand total of 16 fumbles recovered and lost last year. So he was putting the ball on the ground pretty damn often. But yeah, it is Justin Fields. I'm shocked you got that. That was a pretty damn good guess. So that's fine. Yeah, he ran it. Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, going with Josh Allen was, I think, I don't have the whole list, but he probably was right there. To be frank.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Second hard question is going to be this: what season did the referee lockout occur?
Replacement refs were, pretty sure it was after I left school. Let me think about that. That is an Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. I feel like Megatron was the. I'm gonna say 2014.
It was not 2014. You were close, though. You were close. You were just 2 years off. It was the 2012-2013 season.
I was going to say 2013. I was going to say 2013.
You were close. You had the range of time right. You were right there. It was 2012, 2013. I think it was like 5 or 6 games that the main crew kind of set out for, and as we all remember, it was an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster last from the NFL. 2011. You're not getting both of them. You're not getting both of them. You were close. All right. So that's both hard questions, but you still have 90 points going into the impossible question. This is worth 50 points. Give it your best shot. Since Super Bowl including Super Bowl 34, which was the year 2000 Super Bowl, how many teams have won multiple? I wrote that wrong. Have won.
Buccaneers, Patriots. Giants. I know the Giants have won that. Buccaneers, Patriots, Giants. Eagles. Oh, wait, no, they didn't win this last one. Chiefs. Did Peyton win 2 with the Colts? I'm going to say Colts. No, I'm not going to say Colts. I feel like he won 1 with the Patriots, 1 with the Colts, 1 with the Broncos. Dang it, caveman. I'm going to say I'm going to say 5.
It was not 5. It was not 5. It was 7. 7 different teams have won 2
7?
Super Bowls. Yeah, the Rams, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Chiefs, and the Patriots have all.
2000, the Ravens won.
Yep, 2000s, the Ravens won. But you were close. Again, you were right. You were right there. With 5, I mean, I wouldn't have. I'm not getting. I always think to myself, like, if I was on the other end of this game, I would probably get like 10 points. I whenever it comes to trivia, like, I know some stuff, but when it comes to actually answering it on the spot, everything that I feel like I do know goes right out the window every single time.
Same.
But
piece of information got it right.
Did he? Holy shit. Yeah, he did. 7 again. Although the way I do, I think I'm getting suspicious because the way that I figure out the difficulty of these questions is I put together a survey of the questions and I send it out. I know he takes the damn survey, so he's probably remembering the survey. He's taking the damn survey. But no, I'm just playing with him. He is very smart. He always fills the quizzes. But anyway, you still have 90 points going into the wager question, and this is the new style of the wager. So there's a wheel spin that is going to determine the difficulty and the topic, and then after the topic's decided, you are able to decide how many points you want to wager. It's kind of tough because you really have nobody to kind of scale, what you're trying to beat. But if you want to get as many points as you want, so be it. So let me share my screen. Here we have the magic wheel spin. We have stats, draft, history, awards, transactions being like trades and signings and stuff. And then miscellaneous, which is just stuff that really doesn't fit under any of the categories, like nicknames or, when teams stop playing at field, stuff like that. But we'll spin the wheel. What is Justus going to get? He's going to end up with a history question. Lucky you. So how many points do you want to wager considering it is history? What category were you hoping for?
When you said the year that teams have stopped playing at certain stadiums, I got scared. I was like,
it doesn't get that. I really don't have any questions like that. There's like one stadium related question that I have on my sheet, but I was just trying to think of something that like fit the description of miscellaneous. It's not as daunting as that might have made it sound.
I'm gonna go 60.
All right, he's gonna wager 60 points. He's down to 30. Let's see if he can double his wager here. So the history question is this: what happened first? The first NFL draft, the first Super Bowl, or the first combine?
First draft. I'm sorry. The first Super Bowl was like Packers Chiefs, I think. Packers won, but I don't think there was a pathway to the NFL from the NCAA at that point yet. I don't see why there would have been. It had to establish itself first. But a combine could mean anything. It could mean getting people off the street to come and try out, and you have a combine. You know what I mean? Oh, man. All right. Occam's razor. I am going to say the Super Bowl started, and then they decided we need to have college players come here, so we'll give them a combine, and we'll see. So I'm going to go to the Super Bowl.
It was not the Super Bowl. It was not. It was the draft. The first NFL draft happened in 1936 when dinosaurs were still walking the earth. They had the NFL draft, and then the Super Bowl, and then the combine. The Super Bowl was in 67. The combine they added very late in 82. But the NFL draft, they were drafting guys out of the military, out of school, pulling them off the streets from doing their job as a mailman. They were finding anybody that looked big, strong, and could run fast to play in the NFL. They had a draft in 1936.
I always do this. Man.
At least you didn't wager everything. You still have 30 points. At worst, you'll still be on the board for the first 5 episodes, and it could be even longer. So you still have a lot to be happy about. And you started off with 4 straight answers, right? There's still a lot of positives to be taken from your game, but you do end with 30 points. You will be number 1. I'll be interested to see how long you hold on to it, but you did good. Don't beat yourself up. Those are difficult questions down the stretch, but you did good. I had to mute a piece of information because you made a comment that he got it right. I'm like, he's gonna pop the shit in the chat, isn't he? Because he said, let me do a Google search. I'm like, he's gonna pop this shit in the chat. I had to mute him for 5 minutes. So information, if you're trying to type, I'm sorry. You have to wait another 5 minutes. But yeah, that will wrap things up, ladies and gentlefolk. Justus, keep your damn head high. We had a very good conversation all night. It was great, dude. I appreciate you taking the time. Yes, you are still number 1, and you will. Who knows how long you'll be number 1 for? Who knows? You could be number 1 till the end of the show's time. We don't know. But thank you for coming on, dude. I appreciate you taking the time. We had a fantastic conversation. You're always a blast to talk to, man. I always enjoy. Some people you try to talk sports with, they're kind of bland. They're not, they're not animated. Their takes are very short, but you always bring energy. You bring a great time, educated opinions. I appreciate it a lot, dude, for taking the time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate for the invite again. I always have a blast on your show, and I will be doing it again because I need to be on.
Don't beat yourself up. It ain't a big deal. But make sure you're checking out Justus. I have all of his links down in the description of this YouTube live stream. Follow the fan base Twitter page. Follow the Bills Mafia Facebook page. Follow Justus on Twitter. Check out all my links. They'll be down in the description as well. Actually, I don't. Now that I think about it, I don't think I put them down there. But regardless, you know where to find me. The Caveman NFL across all platforms. Thank you, Justus, again. Thank you to everybody that's watching. Piece of information. I'm sure you're saying goodbye, but you can't type. And for anybody else that's watching this popped in, I appreciate it. And you guys have a good rest of your night. Go Bills.
Go Bills.